that this proposal is about governance. It's not about function. Function, by and large, of the general church is supported across the board by those of us who are involved in all this. We simply want to change the way that we control and govern what we're doing as a general church. Now, the staffs of the various general agencies will say to you with some certainty that they fear what we're talking about because it takes away a great deal of the security of the siloed approach that we have right now of general boards and agencies. And there is certainly truth in that. As things stand today, almost everybody that works at a general agency is an at-will employee, but there are a great many different ways that the staff positions and functions are protected. Most of them in this book. One of the things that the IOT was going for was to change the way the general church staff is governed so that all of the governance would come from one source. And therein lies almost all of the debate. How many in here are at least somewhat aware of what the IOT-CT proposal is for governance? Great. All right, good. That means I don't have to go into great detail. But let me just remind you that the idea that they put forward was to have one general agency called the Center for Connectional Mission and Ministry. A nice euphemism. I'm not sure exactly who came up with it. It's being blamed on the Council of Bishops, and I'll let the bishops defend that. But it's a very easy phrase to throw out. And the idea was to take all of the program work of the general staff of the church and put them all under one board. And the IOT group, who are primarily executives from private industry, and nonprofit and private industry, were aiming at having a board like what they're used to working with. They wanted a board that had competencies, had skills that matched up with what they were going to oversee. And that was the underlying idea. Make it a small board, a board that could actually know each other and work together, not the kind of board we're all used to in the general church, but rather a small board of 15. So that they would know each other well and they could work together well to get consensus around ideas and move the church forward in a steady fashion. That was the idea. How to put that particular idea into play was part of what we had to work with at the CT. And as the proposal is stated in the book of legislation, there is an oversight body called the General Council for Strategy and Oversight, which will actually appoint those 15 people. We talked about the possibility of having elections of 15 of them at General Conference. Very much the same reaction around the room at the connectional table, to have the very idea of electing 15 folks allegedly on skills and competencies at General Conference. We knew right away it wasn't going to work. So instead we went with the idea of having something that truthfully is very similar to the connectional table. And in fact, at one point in our debates last July, it was called the connectional table. But ultimately we came down on the idea of having, let's start something new and allow everything about this to be new. And that General Council of Strategy and Oversight is a representational body that's got membership from across the world in much the same way the connectional table does. Still has representation from ethnic caucuses. It still has participation by the Council of Bishops. It is, whereas the connectional table is 60 people, 47 of whom are voting, this is a body of 45, all of whom have votes. As it is currently written, that body will be chaired by a bishop to be named by the Council of Bishops. And that particular person, whoever that is, that leads the General Council on Strategy and Oversight, will also be an ex officio member of the 15-member board that would run the center. The center board will elect one of its own number to be its own chair, and that person must be a layperson under the legislation as written.